The day I moved into the nursing home, everyone said I would finally be safe and cared for. But that was the day I slowly started losing parts of my life. I remember the smiles on their faces when they helped me pack my things. My family believed they were doing the right thing. The doctor said it would be easier for everyone. And honestly, I believed it too. I thought I was moving to a place where I would feel supported, surrounded by people, and finally able to relax after a long life. But something unexpected began to happen soon after I arrived. At first, it was small things, quiet hallways that felt longer every evening, days that started to look exactly the same, conversations that felt polite but distant. And slowly, I began to realize that what people imagine about nursing homes isn't always the full truth. You see, most families make this decision with love. They want safety, medical care, and peace of mind. But there are realities that almost no one talks about. Not the brochures, not the advertisements, and sometimes not even the people who live there. It took me months, maybe even years, to fully understand what I had walked into. Some lessons came quietly, others came with deep regret. And today, I want to share them with you. Because if you or someone you love is thinking about moving into a nursing home, there are 7 hard truths you deserve to know before that decision is made. These are not complaints. They are the realities I wish someone had told me earlier, before the door closed behind me that first day. Number 1, the loneliness no one warns you about. When I first arrived at the nursing home, one of the things that comforted me the most was the thought that I would never feel alone again. After all, there were so many people there, staff, nurses, and other residents. I imagined friendly conversations in the hallways, laughter during meals, and a sense of community that would fill my days. But reality turned out to be very different. Yes, there were people around me all the time, yet somehow the loneliness felt deeper than before. Most of the residents stayed in their own rooms, lost in their own thoughts or struggles. Some were too tired to talk. Others had families who rarely visited. Even when we sat together in the common room, the silence often felt heavy, like everyone was carrying a story they didn't know how to share. Soon, my days began to follow the same pattern. Wake up, eat breakfast, sit for a while, watch the clock move slowly, lunch, a short walk in the hallway, then dinner. And before I knew it, the day was over without anything truly meaningful happening. I remember one particular habit I developed. Every afternoon, I would sit by the window near the entrance. At first, it was because I enjoyed the sunlight, but deep down, I was hoping to see my family walking through the door. In the beginning, they came often. Their visits filled my heart with joy. But as months passed, life became busy for them, and the visits became fewer and farther between. I never blamed them. That's just how life works sometimes. But sitting there, watching the door stay closed, taught me something important. Loneliness isn't just about being physically alone. It's about missing the people and connections that truly make you feel alive. And that is the lesson I want to share with you today. As we grow older, what we need most isn't just a safe place or medical care. Those things matter, of course, But what truly keeps our hearts strong is meaningful relationships. People who talk with us, listen to us, and remind us that we still matter. Number 2, losing independence faster than expected. One of the hardest things I didn't expect after moving into the nursing home was how quickly I began to lose my independence. Before I came here, my life was simple, but it was mine. I decided when to wake up, what to eat, when to sit outside, and when to go to bed. Even small choices gave me a sense of dignity and control. I didn't realize how important those little freedoms were until they slowly started to disappear. In the nursing home, everything follows a schedule. Breakfast is served at a certain time. Lunch comes at the same hour every day. Activities are planned, lights are dimmed early in the evening, and routines rarely change. At first, I thought this structure would make life easier for everyone, but over time, it began to feel like my days were no longer my own. Even small decisions became limited. Sometimes I wanted to stay up a little longer or eat later or simply enjoy a quiet walk outside. But there were rules meant to keep everyone safe, and those rules slowly shaped my life. I remember one day very clearly. The sun was warm, and I felt strong enough to step outside for a short walk, just like I used to do at home. But when I reached the door, a staff member gently stopped me and said it would be better if I didn't go out alone anymore. That moment stayed with me. It wasn't said with cruelty. In fact, it came from concern. But standing there, I realized something important had changed. A part of my freedom had quietly slipped away. That experience taught me a powerful lesson I wish more people understood. Independence is one of the most valuable things we have, especially as we grow older. It's not just about doing big things. It's about making our own choices, even the small ones. And once that independence starts to fade, it can be very hard to get it back. So if you are thinking about this decision for yourself or someone you love, remember this: protecting independence for as long as possible truly matters. Number 3, not everyone receives personal attention. When people think about nursing homes, they often imagine that residents receive constant care and attention. I believed that too before I moved here. I thought there would always be someone nearby to talk to, help with small needs, or simply notice when I was having a difficult day. But one of the hard truths I discovered is that not everyone receives the personal attention they expect. The caregivers here work very hard. I want to be fair about that. Many of them are kind, patient, and truly try their best. But the reality is that there are often many residents for each caregiver to look after. They move quickly from one room to another, helping with medications, meals, and daily tasks. Because of this, time becomes limited. Sometimes help comes quickly. Other times, you have to wait. I remember one evening that really opened my eyes. I wasn't feeling well and needed assistance, so I pressed the call button beside my bed. At first, I thought someone would come right away. I waited a few minutes, then a few more. The hallway was quiet and the room felt very still. As the minutes passed, I began to feel not just uncomfortable, but also invisible. Eventually, someone did come, and they were kind and apologetic. They explained that several residents needed help at the same time. I understood that, but that moment stayed with me because it showed me how easily a person can feel overlooked in a place that is supposed to provide constant care. And that experience taught me an important lesson I want families to hear. Choosing a nursing home should never be done quickly or blindly. It's important to research carefully, ask questions, and stay involved even after a loved one moves in. Visit often. Pay attention. Talk to the staff and the residents. Because personal care doesn't just happen automatically. It improves when families stay connected and make sure their loved ones are truly seen and supported. Number 4, declining health faster than expected. Another truth I didn't expect after moving into the nursing home was how quickly my health began to change. Before I arrived here, I wasn't perfect, of course. Age had already slowed me down, but I was still moving around my home, doing small chores, walking outside, and keeping my body active in my own way. I believed that being in a place with medical care would actually help me stay stronger. But something surprising happened. Life here became very routine. Most of the day is spent sitting during meals, sitting in the common room, sitting in the hallway, or resting in bed. There are activities sometimes, but they don't always keep the body as active as everyday life once did. And when movement becomes limited, the body slowly begins to lose strength. At the same time, there is another thing people rarely talk about: emotional stress. Even when a place is safe, the feeling of leaving your home, your memories, and your independence can quietly affect your mind. And when the mind feels heavy, the body often feels it too. I remember the moment I truly noticed the change. A few months after moving in, I was walking down the hallway with my walker just like I did every day. But suddenly, I realized something. My steps were slower than before. My legs felt weaker, and my energy wasn't the same. It wasn't a sudden illness. It was gradual, almost invisible at first. But once I noticed it, I couldn't ignore it. That realization stayed with me. It taught me that health in old age is not only about medicine or being in a care facility, it's also about movement, purpose, and emotional support. When those things are missing, the body can decline faster than we expect. So here is the lesson I want to share with you. As we grow older, staying active, keeping the mind engaged, and feeling emotionally supported are just as important as medical care. These things are not luxuries. They are essential for living well in the later years of life. Number 5, emotional distance from family slowly grows. When I first moved into the nursing home, my family promised me something that meant the world to me. They said, "Don't worry, we'll visit you all the time." And in the beginning, they truly did. Those early visits brought warmth into my days. We laughed, shared stories, and for a little while, it almost felt like nothing had changed. But slowly, something I didn't expect began to happen. Moving away from home changes family life more than people realize. When you no longer live under the same roof or even in the same neighborhood, the small, natural moments with family disappear. The quick visits, the shared meals, the random conversations, all of those things slowly fade away. Life becomes busier for everyone, and visiting starts to require planning instead of happening naturally. At first, my family came every week. Then it became every couple of weeks. Eventually, the visits grew shorter, and sometimes they had to cancel because of work, responsibilities, or distance. I never blamed them. I knew they loved me, but love and presence are not always the same thing. One moment that I will never forget happened during a holiday. It was a day that used to fill my house with laughter, cooking smells, and family voices. But that year, I sat quietly in my room, listening to the distant sounds of other residents and the soft footsteps in the hallway. I kept hoping someone would walk through the door, even for a short visit. But the day passed quietly. That was when I realized how much physical distance can slowly turn into emotional distance if we are not careful. And this experience taught me a lesson I want every family to understand. Love alone is not enough to keep relationships strong. Effort matters, time matters, presence matters. When families stay involved, visit often, and keep emotional connections alive, it makes a world of difference. Because as we grow older, one of the greatest sources of strength is not just care or comfort. It's knowing that we are still deeply connected to the people we love. Number 6, the feeling of being forgotten. There is a feeling that many people don't talk about when it comes to nursing homes. It's not something you see in brochures or hear about in conversations, but if you spend enough time here, you begin to notice it quietly growing in the hearts of many residents. It's the feeling of being forgotten. At first, I didn't recognize it. I thought it was just occasional sadness that comes with age. But over time, as I talked to other residents, I realized many of us were carrying the same quiet fear. Some people used to have busy homes filled with family, neighbors, and friends, and now their days pass with very few visitors. What makes this difficult is that the pain isn't physical. In fact, sometimes it hurts even more than the aches in our bodies. When a person begins to feel invisible or forgotten, it touches something deep inside the heart. One night, I experienced a moment that I will never forget. The hallway was quiet, and most people were asleep. But from the room next to mine, I heard someone softly crying. It was another resident, a gentle woman who rarely spoke during the day. Later, I learned that she hadn't received a visit from her family in a very long time. Hearing that broke my heart, because in that moment I realized something important. Many people here are not only fighting aging or illness, they are also fighting loneliness and the feeling of being left behind by the world. And that is the lesson I want to share with everyone watching this. As we grow older, emotional support becomes just as important as medical care. A kind visit, a phone call, or even a short conversation can mean more than people realize. These small acts remind us that we still matter, that we are still remembered, and that our lives are still connected to the people we love. No one should feel forgotten in the later chapters of their life. Number 7. Realizing too late that home meant more. The hardest truth of all hit me quietly, almost like a whisper I didn't want to hear. I realized too late that home meant more than I had ever understood. When I lived in my own house, every corner held memories. Morning sunlight spilling across the kitchen floor, the familiar creak of the hallway, the garden I tended each spring. I could move freely, make decisions without asking anyone, and enjoy small, ordinary moments that made life feel full. I didn't appreciate how much freedom, comfort, and peace came from those everyday routines until they were gone. I remember the last day I left my house vividly. My children were helping me pack the final boxes. I hugged the walls, touched the door frame one last time, and looked around the rooms I had filled with decades of life. At that moment, I thought I was making the safe and sensible choice. I didn't fully consider how it would feel to live somewhere that wasn't mine, where rules dictated when I could eat, sleep, or even walk outside. The contrast became painfully clear once I settled into the nursing home. The walls were clean and orderly, yes, but they didn't hold memories. The routines were efficient, but impersonal. I had safety and care, certainly, but I had lost the freedom to live life on my own terms. The small, simple joys I had taken for granted at home felt absent, and I began to understand what I had truly given up. Looking back, the lesson is clear. Decisions about elderly care must go beyond safety and medical attention. They must consider emotional well-being, personal freedom, and the daily experiences that make life meaningful. A place can be safe, but if it doesn't nurture the heart and the mind, it isn't enough. If I could speak to anyone facing this choice, I would say, think carefully. Balance safety with freedom, care with comfort, and practicality with the memories and joy that make a house a home. Because once that door closes, you can never quite reclaim what you left behind. Home is more than a building. It's the life you live within it. And realizing its value too late is a regret that stays with you every day. After sharing all these experiences, I want to leave you with the truth I wish every family understood. Safety alone does not equal happiness. Moving to a nursing home may protect the body, but it cannot replace the warmth of home, the comfort of freedom, or the love and presence of family. These are the things that nourish the heart and mind, and they are just as essential as any medical care. I also want to speak directly to families and anyone thinking about this decision. Talk openly, ask questions, listen to the wishes of your loved ones. Don't assume that safety is the only priority. Consider emotional needs, personal independence, and the small daily joys that make life meaningful. These conversations may feel uncomfortable or even overwhelming, but they are necessary to prevent regrets later. Every situation is unique. What works for one person may not work for another. There is no single right choice, only the one that balances care, freedom, and emotional well-being. Awareness and honesty are the best tools to make that choice wisely. And finally, I want to leave you with this. If my story can help even one family make a better choice, then my regret will not be wasted. Because at the end of the day, love and understanding matter more than convenience. And the moments we share with our loved ones are the ones that truly define a life well lived.